Are there any specific safeguard measures in place to counter against inflation?
Yeah, well, with Venn or with any asset, I think it's impossible to totally safeguard or eliminate inflation. But you could argue that over time, Venn should be less inflationary than a typical, say, political currency. And the reason is because, once again, of this 100% reserve backing that we employ. It's kind of, the nerd of currencies. It creates a kind of reserve status for the currency. And so when we think about this basket, you have dollars and euros and pounds and renminbi and yen and other currencies. And then that's sort of counterweighted with commodities like gold and silver and oil and, in our case, carbon and a few other commodities. The carbon, by the way, makes the currency green because we actually invest part of those reserve assets into environmental projects that generate carbon. So we've saved over 5 million trees now using the Venn as a mechanism, a financial mechanism. But together, these commodities and currencies kind of weight each other out, and they should sort of reduce the amount of inflation that the currency experiences. And we've noticed, it's true, over the last 4 years, the Venn has appreciated just a tiny bit against other currencies like the euro and the dollar, about, maybe 3 or 4%. So it's not a large amount of change over 4 years. On an average daily basis, we move about 0.00038% against the dollar and similar amounts against other currencies. So it's highly, highly stable. It's probably the most stable currency in the world because it's so highly diversified.
And you mentioned it's a non-cryptographic currency. So how exactly does one go about generating Venn? Could you go into that?
Right. So once again, we have this asset backing, and so this means that Venn is not a demand-based currency. And from a crypto, the actual issuance of cryptocurrency is actually really based on this idea of a fixed amount of supply. And so it says like there can only ever be this much of the asset in the world, and it will, be delivered over a certain period of time. And the demand relative to that is what creates the price. With Venn, it's a little bit different. We're saying, here's a basket of assets and other currencies and things, and we're going to mark the value of Venn relative to that and then issue it. And because we take 100% reserve backing, that means that if you need to sell that back to us at some point, you can actually come and do that. Now, there are regulatory limitations to what they call open and closed loop currencies and these sorts of things. And because Venn runs through a central reserve, we have to be very careful and compliant for these kinds of limitations. So in terms of redemption for Venn, there are limitations. We have a wide variety of things that you can use Venn for, but the main focus is enabling people to exchange it peer-to-peer. And you can certainly do that. You can move Venn instantly to anyone else on the planet in half a second, in 2 clicks.